Welcome back to Wire to Run. Our guest today is the incredibly inspiring Maggie Smith. Maggie's story is one of resilience, grit, perseverance, and a quiet strength that keeps showing up through every season. What makes her journey so powerful is not only what she has accomplished, but the humility, honesty, and the heart she brings to every part of it. She has shared her journey publicly through seasons of change, the wins, the challenges, the growth, and the moments in between, helping others on their weight loss, running, and fitness journeys feel seen, encouraged, and less alone. And that is why this conversation matters. Maggie, welcome to Wire to Run.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We're happy to have you. So I wanted to share, I started following you in 2024 when
Mhm.
I joined Weight Watchers trying to lose the post-COVID baby weight. And I was looking for inspiration to stick with my points and get ideas of fitness and health. And you, out of all of the people on Instagram, you were so positive and honest and so inspiring. And it just drew me in. And from that point on, I was just hooked on your journey. It was just incredible. So thank you
Thank
for inspiring
you.
me.
It's always so affirming to hear things like that it comes across as positive and uplifting and honest because that is always my goal with social media. And I know with all social media that we consume, it's only a small glimpse into everyone's day-to-day lives or the story that they're telling. And I know how I think and feel and what my intentions are, but you never really know how it's going to be perceived. And you also know that you're never going to please everyone, but I do try to lead with empathy and try to make my space on the internet as encouraging as possible. So I'm really glad that you did find me and that you found it to be a positive place. That's wonderful to hear.
Absolutely. You definitely know your stuff too. And it's like meeting a girlfriend next door, just like sitting there with a cup of coffee and hearing what's going on in your world. And you just feel less alone in that journey.
Definitely. I always say, and I think Weight Watchers has the slogan, but we're better together.
Hmm.
Community is so important, and I think it's great that we have social media. It can be such a wonderful tool to build community, for sure.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
When you first started sharing your journey online, did you expect it to connect with so many people at first?
No, and I've joked with my friend about this often. She also posts on social media and she doesn't necessarily believe the whole concept of like I didn't start off trying to be an influencer. She thinks people have that intention and try to build that, but genuinely, I first started posting. I've had different eras to my social media, and I think my first era was called Maggie's Bit of Fitness, and I think that was my first Instagram handle I had. And it was because I was already kind of sharing on Facebook like my workouts and then starting to run a marathon, basically going from couch to full marathon, which I'm sure we'll get into that. But I kind of was like feeling bad that I was inundating my Facebook with this very niche experience. And I was like, I'm just gonna make a dedicated Instagram page and treat it like my diary. And that way, if people want to follow that part of my life, they can, but they also don't have to if it doesn't interest them. So when I first started, I was just doing little main feed posts of like pictures after a run and being like, 2 miles done, 15-minute pace, and 3 miles done, and oh, longest run ever. And it wasn't even really food focused or anything like that. It was just like a diary log. And then in 2020, when I joined Weight Watchers, I had seen on other people, social media, like people posting their food and their points. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start just treating this like a little food diary for accountability. So that's when I started sharing my food and the points and kind of like different things I was putting together. And that's when it started to kind of pick up momentum. And then when I started seeing success in my Weight Watchers journey, but I was still eating things like cheeseburgers or pizza, and I was tracking it and showing the points and all of that. It was like people really found that interesting because there, for the longest time, people thought I can't eat those kinds of things and still lose weight, but oh, here's Maggie doing it and showing people how to use their weekly points, and it's okay to use them. They're part of the program. So, um, I did not expect it to grow to the size that it had, but then once I did start to gain momentum and started to realize like I'm impacting people's lives, like what I'm learning, I'm able to share, and people are positively benefiting from this, I was like, I need to keep going and keep sharing and keep educating. And then it became more of like a instead of how can I share this diary, how can I educate people through sharing my journey?
I love that you're a Weight Watchers coach, which
I
is amazing.
was. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. I am no longer, but I did so I joined in February of 2020, and then I got hired as a virtual workshop coach in December of 2020. And that's when they kicked off a pretty big like national workshop campaign virtually. So I wasn't even fully a year on the program. And I remember thinking like, oh, I don't even know if they're going to hire me because I wasn't at goal weight at that time. But they did. And then I coached for, I want to say it was 2 years. It was my full-time gig for a little while, actually. I was
Oh,
just like
wow.
doing over 20 workshops a week, which was definitely a blessing and a lot of fun. And I met a lot of wonderful people. But I also think that I got burnt out from just Weight Watchers taking up every corner of my identity. So when I had found the current teaching position that I'm in, I decided to take a step back from coaching and I left. But I still really love the program and still advocate for it. So
That's awesome. You're a natural born coach and educator and teacher.
I
It
do I do
comes
think
through in
it's
everything.
I do think it's a call on my life to be a teacher and to educate in some way. So I'm glad that I get opportunities to do that because it does bring me joy for sure.
I'm sure you've received countless messages over the years. What messages from followers have meant the most to you?
I think anytime anybody says, like what you shared really helped me, um, or even I signed up for my first marathon because of you. I just had someone actually reach out to me this week saying that they want to run their first marathon. They want to do Boston as a charity run and raise money for cancer research. And someone very close to them in life had passed away from cancer. And so they saw my running journey and someone who started running full marathons significantly overweight, but like doing it and seeing the finish line, and so they felt really inspired. And um, I think that's just really cool when I can give people basically their autonomy. Like I can do this, and I can increase someone's self-efficacy just by sharing my own story. I think that's really really cool. So basically, every message where someone's just saying, "Hey Maggie, what you shared really helped me and I made this big like improvement in my health, or I had this huge mindset shift because of you, or I signed up for my first Disney race and I'm so excited," and all of those things. It's really cool.
That's incredible. Oh,
Hmm.
gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
You shared on your Instagram page that you joined Weight Watchers in February of 2020 after
Hmm.
being overweight for much of your life. Would you share a bit about your story, how much you weighed back in 2020 and that journey that you were on?
Yeah. So when I first weighed in February of 2020 at my Weight Watchers workshop, I was 290.6 pounds at 5'4", and let's see, how old was I? I was 27 ish. So because I'm gonna be 33 this month, so I was 27 and weighing in at 200 over 290 pounds, and I know that I've weighed even closer to 300 at some point in that time frame, but that was my Weight Watchers number, and it's so funny, it's like burned into my brain. And then in the year that followed, by February of 2021, I lost 100 pounds. The lowest weight that I saw on a scale at that time was 188.2. And again, that's like burned into my mind. Um,
No.
and it was within the year. So when I first started, it the world was still functioning as normal, but I was really only on Weight Watchers for about a month before COVID hit. And in that month, I signed up because I had a friend at the time that was getting married, and I was in her wedding, and we both wanted to lose weight for her wedding, which was supposed to be the following May. It ended up getting pushed back because of COVID, but we both signed up, and then we were both training for the Atlanta Publix Half Marathon. That was like at the very end of February. So we were like going to Planet Fitness and getting treadmill runs in, and then going to Weight Watchers, like tracking our food. And I just kept going with that. Now, when COVID hit, I was a teacher, full time middle school chorus teacher at the time. We went home, we were teaching virtually, and I basically had all of this extra time. It felt like I had more time suddenly than I really had when I was out and about in the world. And it was after spring break, we never went back to school. And then summer hit, and I really did have all this time in the world. Florida was still relatively shut down. And so I finally was like, I get to treat this goal of losing weight like a full time job. I had heard people say that, when you have a significant amount of weight to lose, 100, 140 pounds, it needs to be a full-time job. But I was already working a full-time job, and then, social life or my family and relationship and all of that. So it's like I all of a sudden had all this time to focus. So where other people, understandably so, kind of went the opposite because COVID was traumatic. It was this uncharted territory. It was more time at home, more time near the kitchen, whatever the case may be. I kind of had an opposite experience where I was really like laser focused. And then the following August, we moved. We at the time we were in Tallahassee, Florida. We moved to Orlando, Florida. I took a new teaching job. I was still continuing to see success. I found a Weight Watchers workshop and coach that I really loved, and I actually was starting to make friends in the area who were also Weight Watchers members. And then, as I mentioned, I became a coach, which kind of helps hold you accountable in your journey. And then February of 2021, I lost 100 pounds. So I did a whole
Wow.
little photo shoot. I got 100 balloon, the like 100, and put
Mm.
on a nice dress and took photos, and I got my 100-pound charm, and it was
It's
very
amazing.
exciting. Yeah, very exciting. Still really proud of that.
That's incredible. I frame that picture. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It was, I wish I still
Never
had
take that
that.
one down.
I wish I still had the dress I wore because it was super cute, and
Wow.
I would fit in it now, but
Mm.
it was
Wow.
a period of time where it wouldn't have worked, so I
That's
think I gave it
incredibly
away.
inspiring. Oh my goodness. In a year, you dropped over 100 pounds.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. But I was like so adamant that I wanted to do it healthfully, and
Mhm.
they say that 1 to 2 pounds a week on average is a healthy and sustainable weight loss. So I was like pushing the 2 pound range, but I thought, this is fine, we're good, and a lot of people want to do it fast, um, and me too, I resonate with that. So I think people were like, whoa, and that's my page really started to grow at that point too, with the
Wow.
success of that.
That's definitely motivating seeing that page grow and people
Mhm.
tuning in to see that progress.
Yeah, and then to think like I have all of these people watching me, and that's has its pros and cons.
Yes, I can imagine. It can be intimidating as well. So
Yeah.
having an audience. um, how did running fit into that season of change? You did touch on that, mentioning you run on the treadmill, hit your Weight Watchers meetings afterwards. Did you build up to it slowly? Did you have goals in mind every time?
So I actually started my running journey before I started my Weight Watchers journey. So it was summer of 2017, and I had been going to the gym, and like my Instagram had been started at this point, and I had like started going to the gym more and just like trying to get healthier. And it was funny, my now fiance was like, "You should do the Disney marathon so we have an excuse to go to Disney." And I was like, "Wait, hold on. Disney has a marathon? Like, what are you, first of all, what are you even talking about?" I guess he'd seen it like on the news or online or something that they have like running weekends. And I was like, "Do you think I could do a marathon?" And he was like, "Yeah, if anybody could do it, it would be you." And part of like, I do think that was his way of like just trying to encourage my lifestyle changes without being so forward. Um, and I called my mom and I was like, "Hey mom, like, would you think I'm crazy if I wanted to sign up for a marathon?" And she was like, "No, if anybody could do it, it would be you." And so then I, like, that day, I'm Googling, like, when's the next Run Disney Marathon weekend? And it was like January 2018. I was like, great. Google, how long would it take me to go from couch to full marathon? And it came up with I want to say it was like, can't remember how many weeks it was, but it was like at least 5 months of training. And I remember thinking, okay, if I start right now, that'll give me a little bit of wiggle room that if I like fall off plan or I need more time to like build up this mileage, like I can do it. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna sign up. And I guess at the time, it was not as chaotic to get registrations for these like Run
Yes.
Disney weekends. Like,
Hmm.
because this was almost 10 years ago now, which is crazy. I had never thought about that. But it was almost 10 years ago that I was signing up. And so I just went on and there was a spot for the marathon. So I just like
Wow.
registered. I don't remember doing the live 10 a.m. drops, you know.
Oh my gosh, those were the days.
Yeah. So I like signed up and then I printed off my little program and I started running. So by the time I'd started Weight Watchers in 2020, I had been running as my main form of exercise for 3 years. So I just like kept to it and I'd had that half marathon already scheduled. Obviously during COVID, races were kind of up in the air and I think I did sign up for 2021. And then either I did sign up and we got refunded, something happened because I think it
Hmm.
was like to be determined and then they didn't
Yeah.
have the race. So I think I got like a refund or I put it towards like a virtual summer series or something. So
Hmm.
I had that like, okay, I might be running this marathon. So I was like running and I had some local friends who were doing it too. We did some running together, so that was fun. And it
Hmm.
was outside and felt more safe than like going to a gym and so I was doing that, and then I also joined Orange Theory for the first time ever in that like 2020 or 2020 to 2021 region. Like once Orange Theory opened up, there was one really close to my house in Kissimmee, so I signed up, and that was helping me work on speed, and I really
Hmm.
enjoyed that. Did I've like lost my train? Did I answer the
No,
question?
that's
Yeah,
great.
I think I answered the question.
Yes, you did. No, that's great. And you get don't get me started on Orange Theory. That was like my favorite type of workout. I love
Yeah,
Orange
I
Theory.
did
So
that for
yes.
like from like
Hmm.
2021 to maybe
Yes.
2023, I think. I was for a couple of years I did it. It was
Amazing.
really
It's a great
fun.
workout.
Yeah.
Hmm. So you've that movement was so key to your weight loss, not only just counting the points and eating healthfully, that movement was critical to that weight loss.
Yeah. And I know it played a big part, but I really tried not to look at it as having anything to do with my weight loss because I think you can get into a danger zone of like earning food or
Hmm.
punishing yourself for food that you had. And
Right.
I was like, and I still feel this way, my fitness journey and my weight loss journey are separate. And
Yes.
yes, they do impact one another, but like I don't go to CrossFit class thinking this is gonna help me lose weight this week. I'm going because I'm like, I want to benefit my bone density, my muscle mass, the community. It's fun. I have a growth mindset. I want to get better at these skills that I'm trying to work on. I want to be on committed club. Like it has nothing to do in my mind with the weight. And also because I know you cannot outrun your fork. Like I have
Hmm.
trained for a full marathon and gained weight. So I know that like it's not, though it is helpful, it is not necessary. What is necessary is managing your food and being consistent with that. And actually, marathon training can make that harder because it increases
Hmm.
your appetite. You have to fuel like during runs
Yeah,
to take care of yourself. You have to eat more carbs, like at
it's
least you
true.
should be doing those things. So it's actually like harder. So I did have someone like reach out to me saying that they wanted to train for a marathon and they also wanted to start Zepbound. And I was like, I'm not your doctor, but I am very hesitant to encourage you to do that. When I started off with my medication and was also training for the New York City Marathon, I couldn't find a lot of people that were doing marathons and also on a GLP-1. And I think there's a reason for that. It's just
Hmm.
hard. It's almost unsafe. I don't want to
Hmm.
put anyone down who's out there doing it,
Hmm.
but I just do like have hesitation around it. So
Hmm.
anyway, I say all that to say,
I do have a few friends that are training for marathons with that, and they're very careful. They're
yeah,
under very close watch with their doctors.
it's
It's best
hard.
to be followed very closely with that.
Fueling and just like having the appetite to fuel or just, and then the digestion and all that is just like tricky. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
just I especially if it's someone's first marathon, I'm just like
Hmm.
don't come at it from I'm
Yeah.
doing this to lose weight because that
Hmm.
it should be a different reason in my
Yeah, it
opinion
is
anyway.
it I went under the onus of my first marathon, "I'm gonna lose weight." Wow, was I wrong? I gained weight. My friends
That's
all laughed at me
yeah,
that we're
that's
marathoners.
right. They're like, okay, you're gonna find
Mhm,
this out the hard
sure.
way, and so that's
Yep.
why I'm like, I try to just warn people like, don't do it, or don't let that be a reason.
Yes,
There's
yeah,
so many other beautiful reasons behind running a marathon. It doesn't have to be to lose weights. So.
exactly. So your understanding of, health really changed during the beginning of your journey then? It really
Yeah,
changed for you.
I am a sponge and I love learning and I take the things that like the coaches that I've had, whether it's Weight Watchers coaches or fitness coaches, and I really take that information to heart and I really try to just learn more about the facts of all of this, right? Because there's so much noise out there about what you should be doing, you shouldn't be doing, and you should try this and do that and da da da, and it's changing every week. And it's true that the science of weight loss is evolving, but there's only to a certain point, right? The facts are the facts. And I and then I like to share that with other people. And so it's important, I would hope I'm not the same person that I was 6 or 7 years ago, even despite my weight loss journey, right? It's like we're
Mhm.
lifelong learners. I really believe that. So,
Absolutely. You have been honest about the weight gain and the weight losses in 2024, 2025.
mhm,
And I think that kind of honesty matters because so many people only share the highlight reels and it can make others feel like they're the only ones struggling. I know as a component of ADHD, we struggle with rejection sensitive dysphoria and comparison analysis.
mhm.
I'm so glad that you share the lows too. Would you share about that in 2024 and 2025?
Yes, so I lost my 100 pounds, and then at that point, I still thought I had about 45 pounds to lose. And so, though I had this amazing victory, it was like, I mean, 45 pounds is still a significant amount of weight, and I just was like,
Mhm.
whew. And so I was still making an effort towards that, but I was really just maintaining for a year and a half to 2 years after, within like a 5 pound range. So I was just like getting really tired of that. And instead of consistently celebrating the progress that I was protecting and realizing like it takes time for your body to adjust, it's like you just get tired after a while and you start to like let off the gas, right? And so
Mm.
and it was not with the activity. I've never struggled with that. It was with the food.
Mhm.
And so I just slowly started ticking up on the scale and I believe the highest point of my regain was 255 pounds, But
Mhm.
I was fluctuating a lot from like upper 230s and 240s, but then it got up to 255, and then I would do something crazy like I'm gonna eat only 0 point foods for 30 days, and I would drop like 16 or 18 pounds, and I would just do things like that where I was like basically yo-yoing within this
Mm.
regain. So it happened so gradually that I didn't even realize the severity of it until I saw 255 on the scale and I was like, oh my gosh, like here we go
Mhm.
again. Um, and that is when I tried to really refocus. And so I went back to Weight Watchers workshops in person. I was trying to track all my food. I was doing little challenges for myself and just trying to get myself like remotivated. And I was doing all of the things that had once worked for me and they weren't working anymore. And it was all consuming, like not just the conversation in my head around food, like, okay, if you have this food, then you need to do this. And if you don't eat this food, then you can do that. And then I should have this snack now because if I don't have it now, then I'm probably going to be hungry and then I'm going to do this. And it was just like this constant inner
Mhm.
monologue, which I thought we all had. I thought, I'm like, don't we all have to make food decisions? When people were talking about food noise, I was like, Psh, what?
Mhm.
But then I was like, wait, oh, I think this is it. But then also like the inner monologue of like, I'm continuing to spin my wheels. People are watching me just like waffle and fail, and I'm wasting all of this time and just really beating myself up about this gain and then not being able to make progress, even though I felt like I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. And so it was in 2025, October of 2025, late September, because that's when I started talking to my doctor about a GLP-1. I was like, maybe I really actually do need this support because I had kind of pushed it off. Not that I didn't believe in it. I've always been like, if you all want to take medication and it's cool with your doctor, like I support you. No one's ever heard me badmouth GLP-1 on my social media, but I just thought it wasn't for me. I thought I'm not a good candidate for it because I've already lost weight. I know I can do it, and um, I want to do it again. And that's just what I thought. But eventually I was like, you know what? I need to talk to my doctor about this like really intently, and she supported me. And I talked to my mom and she supported me too. And I talked to my fiance and he was like, whatever you think you need to do to be healthy and happy, like I support you, and you don't have to do it forever. If you don't like it, you could try it and stop. And so then October 2025, I took my first dose and I was like, whoa, whoa, like this is the first mental peace I've felt in
Wow.
years. So then, and that was actually a month before I did my New York Marathon, I started my medication. It was just the introductory dose, but I was running a ton and like, so I lost a pretty good clip of weight in that first month. But it was just the mental piece. Like I went on a bachelorette trip and traveled and I was able to have things and enjoy them and not feel like so overwhelmed by all the planning and the strategy and doing this and that
Mm.
um and so now I've lost my entire regain of 65 pounds and then some. So I'm the lowest on the
Wow.
scale that I've ever been in my adult life. And I used to
Congratulations.
thank you.
It's
I
amazing.
used to share all of my numbers more candidly. And I think like sharing my starting number or like my total pounds lost is still okay in here or there. But again, I'm very empathetic to people. I'm very aware of the comparison is the thief of joy, and I can't stop people from comparing, but I can like protect a little bit of my experience and their experience. And because I see people post about their own GLP-1 journey and they say like, oh, I've been on the medication for 8 months and I've only lost 20 pounds. Or somebody might look at my body and think that's my dream body, and here I am saying I still need to lose like 30 more pounds, or what, whatever the case may be. I'm just like, I used to put my weight up on post-it notes and stand in front of it and say, hey guys, I'm weighing in this week and I lost two post-it notes. And I would take them off the
Mm.
wall and I would put them back if I gained weight. And people thought that was
Mm.
so awesome, but that actually was really rough on my mental health.
Mm.
It put way too much pressure on the scale. And so much can go into the number, like your height, obviously, your muscle mass, and just so many factors. And I'm like, I'm just going to try not to stress about it because when I was at this point in my last weight loss phase in 2021, I was so hyper fixated on losing that next pound and getting to that next milestone that it ended up being my downfall. So now I'm just trying to be like, okay, I got through that tough season. Now I'm just gonna take it a day at a time and
Mhm.
and celebrate the little victories along the way rather than just hyper fixating so much on the milestones.
That's such a healthy viewpoint and mindset as well.
Yeah, it took a while to get here.
But
Took
you're
trial
celebrating
and
these wins
error.
along the way.
Yeah, and that's the
Sometimes it
thing.
takes us a couple times around the mountain.
Right, I have so much in that like 2023 to 2025 like window. I have so much to be proud of. So many things that I had
Mm,
accomplished, like fitness competitions I'd participated in. I'd won. I did a CrossFit challenge like at the height of my weight of my regain with my two girlfriends. It was like a team of three, and we came in first place. And I like helped us win one of our events. Like it was because of what I did that we pulled through to the victory. And it's like it was like those things I didn't even really care about because I was like, I still have the 65 pounds I need
oh
to
my
lose. You know, it was
goodness.
just like
So
I would
hard on
s-
ourselves.
I would be like excited, but then it was like it was overshadowed by this
Hmm.
impending like failure in the back of my mind,
Hmm.
you know? So
Mm.
it's just like such a bummer, but
So
it's
that
more
shift helped you get out of that discouragement, though, which is awesome.
it definitely
That's,
did. Yeah.
that's awesome. How did you keep from letting that one season define your entire journey? Did you have to take that step back at that point in time when you started the GLP-1, or was it a few months later that you can kind of see the big picture?
Um, I think I've always been pretty good about not letting like one thing define an entire season. I my one of my favorite mantras has been for a very long time that every day is not good, but there is good in every day. And so I really tried to focus on the things that were going well in my life and like anchor into those. And it just wouldn't be fair to all of those special moments if I was just like always beating myself up about the fact that I gained that weight. And at the end of the day, like when I get to my deathbed, I'm really not going to be thinking about 24, 25 as much. I might be thinking about how I went to the Eras tour and saw Taylor Swift with my best friend, or
Mm,
like whatever the things are. But also when I joined Weight Watchers, they said, and I take things to heart. Like I try to be a sponge and really like lean into the advice that I'm given. And they say like this is a lifetime journey and there's going to be ups and downs, but it's so hard to conceptualize lifetime, right? We're
yeah.
always just thinking about that next achievement, like that next thing I can check off my to-do list, the next and and even when I was like going through my regain season and had all these like things on my plate, like opportunities and events and things. I remember telling my mom like I don't want to just be wishing and waiting for the next thing or like, oh, we just got to get to the next thing and the next thing. Like, because all of this fun stuff is going to pass me by and I'm going to be sad that I didn't soak it up. And so I think just remembering that this is just like a small glimpse into like a very, 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 very long journey. And it's very likely that I could gain weight again. I want to have children one day. Like, that's going to be a whole process and a whole journey. Like there's hopefully a long road ahead of me, so it's just like one little chapter, um, and just not letting it be the whole book, I think is important. So,
That's so positive, and that's, again, such a great way of looking at things. You should write a book, Maggie. Seriously.
yeah, can I tell you, I have thought about writing a book so many times,
You should
and I
totally do
always,
it.
always want one of the chapters to be like always good enough to make the all-star team, never good enough to play on the all-star team. Like that was always like the way I looked at my life
Yeah.
because I played softball growing up and like I would always make the team, but then like I would play like one inning. It was like I was just on the cusp of like being good enough. And that's how I feel like in a lot of competitions or in things I do, it's like like, oh, running the New York City Marathon, but like I did it in, I don't even know how many. It was over 6 hours for sure. It wasn't like my sister-in-law who she considers her slow miles like 8-minute miles. And I'm like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
keep trying to tell her, I'm like, please stop saying that. Those aren't slow miles. And she
Oh
just,
my god.
different
I'd be with
mindset.
you with those 6 dollars. I might be behind you.
I was like, balloon ladies, like
Right?
I have seen them in the flesh. I think
Yes. Yes.
it was Marathon 2019. I was already in Epcot
Goodness.
though, so I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna make it.
Well, if you ever do write a book, I'm promoting the heck out of it. So.
Yay, thank you. Yeah. One thing like another one of my favorite like little mantras is like, and I deal with a lot of Gen Z and I feel like they teach me things, but they say it was never that serious. Like
Hmm.
it was never that serious. And I'll tell them too because I see a lot of students put so much pressure on themselves to like do things right, do a good job, like not drop the ball. You and I were talking about reading music, and that's a
Hmm.
difficult thing, and you have to be uncomfortable and like fail a lot.
Hmm.
And I try to tell them like it's really okay and it's not that serious. Like we're on a big floating rock and we're in here like just trying to be like do re mi fa sol la ti do. Like it's not that
Hmm.
serious. Just try. Like um and it's gonna be okay. And I posted an Instagram recently. I'm trying to improve my jump roping and doing what they call double unders. So the rope's passing under your feet like with one jump twice. And I keep messing it up. And if I do get it right, I look ridiculous. I'm doing like what they call the
I
dolphin.
love
And
the video.
I'm like, but I'm like, you can't skip the part where you're bad at something when you're
Hmm.
trying to get better, like to be good at
Hmm.
something. And um, I just really believe in that, like I'm not afraid
Hmm.
to just look ridiculous or fail a bunch because eventually, like, I will get to do the cool thing and then I'll get to brag
Hmm.
about it, So, like, yeah.
Absolutely. I'll tell you that video came right at the right time. As a parent, sometimes you feel like you're constantly messing up, and you just want to do it right the first time.
Yeah.
And I needed that video to lighten things up. So your content, working hard, showing that you're busting your butt, and you've got to show the mess ups and how you get there. And it was funny too because
Yeah.
you were like
I
doing the
look
dolphin.
so funny. When I
It was
watched
the
back the video,
best.
I was like, I didn't even know my body could contort in such a way. Like, it cracks me up. But it's true, like, and as adults, when I was looking up to my parents, I just thought that there's like this certain point you hit and then you have it figured out.
Uh-huh.
But now I know, like, oh, we're just all doing this for the first time. Like, everybody's just
Exactly.
doing all of this for the first time. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not that serious. It's not that
Yeah, it's not that serious. Amen to that. What would you say to someone who's feeling discouraged because they're not where they used to be?
Oh, well, and that's, I was mentioning comparison is the thief of joy. And we often think about that in terms of like one person to another person. But you
Mhm.
can also be comparing yourself to past versions of yourself or what you think is a future version of yourself, and that can get
Mhm.
discouraging too. And one thing I've tried to remind myself in the pit of my regain was like I have so much knowledge and experience and testimony that I did not have before.
Mm.
And eventually this all will be my strength
Mm.
and this will be my weapon, and every time we prove to ourselves that we can do something that we didn't think that we could do, we're just building our self-efficacy. And that's the belief that, in ourselves that we can do something. And so every time, like if you're disappointed and you are able to flip that script and say, okay, well, maybe I didn't achieve this goal, but I did achieve this and this and this, or I made this person smile today, or whatever. I mean, it can be the simplest thing. Every time you rewrite your story like that, that's a celebration. Like you need to acknowledge it. Like I just flipped the script when I could have gone down a very negative path, and that's awesome. And I think it's really important that we toot our own horns. And I used to say that on social media all the time. I go through like little phases about what I'm saying often, but I used to have, oh my gosh, during the height of my regain, I was eating Chick-fil-A breakfast like 5 days a week. Every day. It was like Chick-fil-A was my way to get through the day. And so I was like, I have to break this habit, not only for my weight loss goals, but for my pocket, like financially. It was like not smart to be doing that. So I would post like every day. an Instagram story with a trumpet if I didn't eat Chick-fil-A for breakfast that day. It was like, and I would just stack the trumpets. I was like, I'm tooting my own horn, you know. But like, and like Chick-fil-A is fine and you can totally have it. But I was just like, I need to prove for myself that I don't have to go every single day. Um, and so just like little things like that, but being able to celebrate yourself and
Hmm.
you know, build the positive momentum again is really important because that's really what happens is you just get into a rut. And
Yeah.
one of my another favorite mantra I have is like what you say is what you hear, and what you hear you make happen. And like how you're speaking over yourself is really important because you're just going to walk in that way and show up in that way. So, you know, if I kept telling myself like this is really hard and this really sucks and this is really frustrating. So guess what? It was really hard and it really sucked and it was really frustrating until it wasn't, because I took a step back and rewrote that conversation because like we're in charge of how we let things make us feel, you know. It's pretty powerful.
That's excellent wisdom. This is an episode that I will listen back and take notes on and write these little mantras down, honestly, because we just had an episode a few weeks back, the runner I used to be, and there was a segment about chasing the ghost, like,
Mm,
the ghost of yourself past,
yeah.
and that comparison. And all of this fits so beautifully. I wish I had you on back then for that
Yeah.
episode because this fits perfectly. And I'll definitely be listening to this episode back and writing all of this down because I'm going to need it. I
Yeah.
journal a lot of the stuff, and some of the topics we talk about are from my journal, and some of the things that I post online, the reels for Wired to Run, are are directly from my journal. So this is definitely going in there, and things that I'm going to be carrying with me into marathon season and forward. So it's going
Yeah.
to help a lot of our listeners as well. So this is excellent advice and
Yeah,
wisdom.
that's great news. And but you think like, and you're so sweet and so like affirming, which I really appreciate. But it's like, you know, I had to go through what I went through to gain this wisdom, to gain this perspective. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't want to be the same person that I was 7 years ago, you know. So why would I try to go back to that exactly?
Right.
Because I've experienced so much more life and I have so much fresh perspective and all those things. So I think it's important that we understand like the lifelong story, like there's gonna be character development in that, you
Yeah.
know. We would hope so, otherwise it would be so boring.
So true. I want to talk about something that I think a lot of our ADHD listeners will really connect with, that whole all or nothing thinking. I'm a huge violator of this. Probably one of
Mhm.
my biggest struggles as someone with ADHD. And really, so many of us with or without ADHD, if we gain weight or miss workouts, and it takes forever for us to get back on, we feel like we've gone backwards. Our brain immediately tells us you failed, or we're back at square one. So I'd love to ask, you're moving and planning a wedding. There's so much change happening in your life. What does consistency look like for you now, especially when life does not feel consistent?
Yes. So, I think when we're in a busy season or a season of change, it's like focusing on the things that I can control and then just releasing the things that I cannot. And something I can control every day is if I'm taking my creatine supplement or if I'm taking my fiber, if I'm making like my protein coffee, if I am scheduling myself into a class. I've gone through different phases of my fitness, and right now I'm going to CrossFit pretty regularly. And my gym, they have this great motivating factor of what they call committed club, and they have two tiers. Tier two means you've gone to class at least 15 times in the month, and then tier one is 19 times or more. And all that happens when you make Committed Club is they put you on a little graphic on Instagram and they write your name on the wall in the gym in chalk under like May Committed Club. And at the time that I first joined this gym, I was training for a marathon. And then when I finished the marathon, then there was like that whole I'm recovering. And so I'm just not putting pressure on myself. But then after I'd been at the gym for a few months, I was like, okay, I want to try for Committed Club. And so I got it in March and I got it in April, and then May was crazy for me. I had so much going on, but I was like, I must make Committed Club. And so I would schedule in my workouts, and it's nice. The gym offers a lot of different class times, so I would like look at my whole schedule for the week, and I would see when can I go to class. And I would plan it out, and I have friends that go or a coach, and I would say, are you going to go to 6 a.m. on Tuesday? Well, I see you there. And, just having that little goal, it doesn't have to be a marathon. It's just like, I want to make Committed Club. This month in June, the gym has like a little June jumping challenge. And all month, there's like all these different kinds of ways to win points. And then like there's a tally at the end. And so I'm like, okay, if I go to class like 4 times this week, that's 4 points. And then if I can improve my jump roping, that's another this points, and all of those things. And so it's like little things like that motivate me to stay consistent. I think having some kind of truly doable goal through the chaos,
Mm.
and knowing like that can fluctuate month to month is really helpful. Like an example of a fail for me this month was I wanted to do another like 0 point foods challenge. I had done one last year. People thought it was really cool. I knew that doing 30 days of only eating 0 point foods was just like impossible for me this month, or like ever again. And so I was like, okay, well, and this is again where I have to find the balance of like doing things for me and supporting my audience. So I was like, okay, I'll host a challenge and I'll do one meal a day and one snack a day. And like that feels doable.
Mhm.
And my friend made us a cute little template, but my other friend was like, why are you doing this to yourself? And I was like, I got it. I got it. Well, I made it like 4 days, and then
Oh my God.
I didn't do it. And it was only a 14-day
Yeah.
challenge, but I only got 4 days in. And so I just came on Instagram. I was like, hey guys, I fumbled the ball on my own challenge. Maybe I'll pick it back up. Maybe I won't, because I don't really know if it makes sense right now.
That's rough.
Like
Yeah, it's hard to
I'm in
stick to.
between like homes. We're moving in 2 different places, and
Yeah.
I'm in a summer schedule. And it's not like my eating was like, oh, off the rails. It's just like I wasn't eating a 0 point dinner, or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I'm just not going to beat myself up about this, because I know I'm making intentional choices, and that's not going to work for me. And just
Mhm.
letting it go. And I think I'm getting better at those things, and just like pivoting and realizing it's going to be
Mhm.
okay, and I can always pick it up again if I want to. So, um,
Mhm.
and so we have this mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna pick a specific doable goal, but then like realizing, oh, maybe that wasn't so doable, and like just not beating ourselves up about it, and being like, okay, like I tried it, it
Yeah.
didn't work, and I'm just gonna move on, and I'll get Commit a Club, and that'll be the thing that I do this month.
Exactly. Exactly. Give control one part of your life. It's a win. And I think also when we get hyper fixated on something, we end up holding on so tightly that we fail at it
Mhm.
sometimes. When we kind of release the reins, we end up being more successful. So
Yeah.
I know many of our Wired to Run listeners have ADHD, and something that comes up often is the connection between food, dopamine, comfort, and reward. Definitely food noise. Food is not just about hunger. It can be, for I know for many folks, sensory or habitual,
Mhm.
impulsive, or even tied to regulation, emotional regulation. So, um, what we try to get an understanding around is why it's happening and getting the right support and building those tools to help us care for ourselves in a more sustainable way. So, you'd mentioned GLP-1, Zepbound, and Weight Watcher points, which I definitely want to get into next. But from your own experience, what have you learned about food noise and cravings and the mental side of eating?
I always knew that this was like a mental struggle, this like this need to rely on food for support. I just thought it was something that I could muscle my way through, and that like everybody was dealing with it. Um, and I do think a lot of people deal with it. I mean, I think a lot of people are living with ADHD, whether they're diagnosed or undiagnosed. I feel like it's more common than we might anticipate, or maybe how it felt in the past, right? Um, but I always thought it was mental, but I didn't realize that there could be all these tools out there to help to support it, right? And to work through it. And The GLP-1 has definitely helped me a lot, and that's why it's almost hard for me to, before prior to medication, I could come on and talk about all these strategies, right? And tools and think like, okay, try this and try that. And now it's like I'm on this medication and now I just don't struggle the same way that I was struggling in the past. But there are some things um, that I felt would help me, and one of those things is I just want to be busy right now. Like I'm just bored. And so finding non-food related hobbies or things to do with my hands, like whether that's like making friendship bracelets or um coloring, like doing coloring books or watching a TV show while on the walking pad. And then I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm still thinking about food after this, then I'll eat something. It probably means that I'm actually hungry. It's like Weight Watchers would talk about hitting the pause button. And so you would like call yourself out, like, okay, I'm really like thinking a
Mm.
lot about food right now. Let's hit the pause button and like take a second to reflect. Like, when's the last time I ate? Okay, it was only 30 minutes ago. Okay, so I might not be hungry. So let's try doing this and like just like getting out of that environment, like removing yourself or like calling a friend or like I said, doing like a hobby or like something physical with your hands. And then it's like set a timer, like, okay, I'm gonna circle back in like 15 minutes. And if I'm still thinking about this, then I might actually be hungry. That's when I would try to lean into the 0 point foods. And you might have heard of like the apple test, like would you eat an apple? And if you wouldn't eat an apple,
Mhm.
then you're not hungry. Well,
You're not really
I'm like, okay,
hungry.
I feel like we could expand the options a bit beyond the apple and just say like, would I eat a 0 point food right now? Like, would I eat a slice of turkey meat just like right out of the drawer, or like a little
Mhm,
bowl of cottage cheese? And if the answer is
mhm.
no, then I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not
No, not
hungry.
hungry.
And I'm just bored or whatever the case may be.
Mhm,
So, and then if I was still really thinking about food, I'd be like, yeah, I could like throw down some cottage cheese right now, and then I would eat it, and that would be that, because oftentimes it's like
mhm.
separating what my body's really trying to tell me versus what my mind's going through. And that's like a really challenging thing to navigate, I think, for a lot of people. Another like a tip, especially if it comes down to like a stimulation thing or just, sensory thing, I've I
Mhm.
found there's zero sugar Jolly Ranchers. And I
No.
think maybe you can have like a few of them before there are any points on Weight Watchers. I don't remember exactly. I haven't scanned them in a while. But like sometimes just having one of those or like a Lifesaver mint
Mhm.
or something just to like have that or like sensory to like sometimes you just like want something in your mouth. I don't know. That's a weird thing to say. It's like don't take that out of context. Um, but like
But you mentioned a lot of good ones, on your Instagram. Maggie Tracks Magic the other day recommended Trader Joe's gummy worms, right?
yeah,
So guys, check out these gummy worms at Trader Joe's that Maggie mentioned. Check out her Instagram. She has a lot of really great recommendations. So,
yeah.
but yeah, definitely looking for that at my Trader Joe's this
hmm
weekend.
And like talking about with like my Chick-fil-A, it's like I can still eat Chick-fil-A and I can still lose weight, but it's just like my order might look different. And really, like once I learned on social media that, like the Chick-fil-A 12 count nuggets, like just the nuggets, it's like 40 grams of protein. And being on a GLP-1, I really prioritize protein, and I was like, whoa, like that's really good. And so like sometimes so and so then I'm just like, I'm just gonna have a 12 count of nuggets and a large Diet Coke, and that fulfills like that desire. And I feel like I'm
Mhm.
also hitting my protein goal, which makes me feel good. So one of my most well performing videos, like it has over 100,000 views, I think. And yeah, so then I started a series like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but like this food has like this amount of protein in it, and it's like unexpected. But I think that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. um, what helped you move from shame towards grace and self compassion?
Well, I think I've always recognized like shame just doesn't get me anywhere to where I want to go. Um, like I remember in Weight Watchers,
Mhm.
they would say, you're not gonna beat yourself up to your goal weight. Nobody ever did, or like we'd all be healthy
Mm.
and at the weight we want to be at. Like if shame was the was the answer. So I just think I recognize that it's not going to get me anywhere and just try to look at the positive of whatever the day is that I'm facing. And that's not just specific to my weight loss journey, that's just in life in general. Um, you know, I do think like mental
Mhm.
health plays a role in people's experience with that. And I am very thankful that like I have a really big support system. I have like family and friends that I can lean on and who can call me out if I am like being self-deprecating. They'll help me flip the script. We were talking about the fact that I was moving and we're renting a house and I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be a huge life upgrade for us. But a lot of people in society look at, oh, at this point in my life, I should be owning a house. And there are a lot of people out there that don't agree with that. They're like, I don't want the responsibility of owning a home and financially and this and that. But there's still just like this unheard like societal pressure. And so I was updating my friends, we were celebrating, and I was like, I know it's not buying a home, but I am still excited. And then my friend was like, no, like you don't need to downplay it. This is really exciting for you. And so like having other people in my life who are also helping hold me accountable is really important. So anybody out there
Yeah,
listening, like if you don't have a support system, if there are people in your life who are not lifting you up in that way, we want to reevaluate them in your circle. And I do recommend so much, like,
very true.
again, because my fitness journey and weight loss, it's like separate. I found so many of the best people through my fitness journey and like through joining gyms and doing the Run Disney
Mhm.
and just like finding people with like-minded spirits and similar goals and things like that. Like I think that also really can help bring us out of our lows.
That's true. Now that I think about most of my closest friends, since I've moved to
Hmm.
Florida, are fitness friends. They're your biggest cheerleaders. They see the best in you and encourage you the most.
Yeah, it's if I look at my bridal party, uh, three of them were on weight loss journeys. Two of them were on Weight Watchers, and on Instagram, and that's how we became friends. One was she did calorie counting, but she was very popular on social media for in that community for a while, and that's how we became friends. And then we found we have other things in common and other interests. And then my other three bridesmaids I met at the gym. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, but they're like the best people, and they're always rooting for me, and I think that's really, really important.
It's amazing. You mentioned in October 2025, you integrated the GLP-1s at Bound in your Weight Watchers journey. What I really appreciated was that you didn't present it as like the magic
Hmm.
fix or a replacement for your habits. But what I loved about your journey thus far is how passionate you are about protecting your bones and your muscles, your
Hmm.
strength. You're really passionate
Hmm.
about it. What made you decide to make that part of your journey
Hmm.
public and to talk so openly about it? And what do you wish people understood about strength and putting that work in?
So I've decided to share the fact that I was taking a GLP-1 publicly because, I do have this platform that is around weight loss and health and fitness. And I went back and forth because, on one hand, it's no one's business what I do with my personal body and
Hmm.
my medication. That's between like me and my doctor. But on the other hand, I'd built this platform on transparency and educating people about tools that are available to them. And I thought, there is a stigma around this medication. I've done a ton of research at that point. I wasn't making the decision lightly. And I thought, even if I can just help one person by sharing this, it would be worth it. And also, I just feel like I owe it to my audience to be transparent about the tools that I'm using. And, I had thought about maybe I'll be on it for like a month and just see how it's going and then kind of reflect and move in silence and all these things. So I was like, it's funny, I think a lot of people go through this experience with their GLP-1 because of that stigma, because of potential shame. They think I'm gonna start this medication. I'm not really gonna tell anyone. But then it's so impactful. They're like, I have to tell everyone. Like I want to tell people. I've always been like that. Like if I got a really cute outfit on and it was on sale or I got it at Goodwill, it's like I got this at
Yeah.
Goodwill. And my mom would be like, don't. don't tell them that. Don't let them think you're rich, you know? And I'm like, no. Um, so I just always been like that. So I don't even think I made it a week before I told my platform. So I think it's been helpful. People, and that's a scary. Another reason I had such a hard time opening up about it was because I understand that I have an influence. I could say, this is the best water bottle in the whole universe, and I really love it. And like five people might go buy the water bottle, right? Or 10 or hundreds. And so then GLP-1, that's a medication. That's like we're injecting that into our body. Like, and there's so much misinformation
Mhm.
around there, and there's so many different ways you can access GLP-1, and I can't vet all of those ways. And I can't trust that everybody's going to do their own research. I can just speak from experience of dealing with lots of different kinds of people. And so I'm like, I don't want to encourage anyone to do something that isn't right for them. And so that weighed really heavy on me. But then that's why talking about doing your research and here's all the possible side effects and here's what you need to be trying to do to prevent those. And that's important to me, that whole education aspect. So with strength training, I again, because I did a lot of research, I waited a long time to get on GLP-1. I saw that people were kind of like shaming people who had been on GLP-1 and lost a lot of weight and like lost their butt. They got Ozempic face or they got
Mm.
Ozempic butt and all this stuff. And really, that's not a side effect of Ozempic or any GLP-1. It's a side effect of rapid weight loss. But now rapid weight loss
Mm.
has become pretty attainable, if you can afford the medication or you can have insurance cover it. So more and more people are experiencing this, right? And so I kind of like have this thing where I just want to prove people wrong. I'm like, I'm gonna do this medication, I'm gonna lose weight, and I'm gonna maintain as much muscle mass as possible, and I'm gonna show you you're wrong, while showing all of these other people that they can do it too. And I think that's a big part of why it's important to me. Is one, I just like have a vendetta against people. I just but also, if we're
Yeah.
really saying this is for my long-term health, well, what's going to keep us healthy for when we're 70, 80 years old and older is not just necessarily being really skinny.
Mhm.
My fiance, he had the wonderful blessing of having both of his grandmas for a very, very long time. But his grandmother on his mom's side just passed away earlier this year. We call her Bamba.
Mhm.
She was very, very, very skinny
Mm.
always, and she was always talking about her weight and, I just need to lose a few more pounds and all of this. But, in her 90s, God bless her, um, she did not have a lot of bone density, and she certainly didn't have muscle mass, and it really affected her ability to get around and to have her independence, and she had a lot of aches and pains and things like that. Um, and so, skinny or being your lowest weight does not necessarily mean you are your healthiest. And these like threats of osteoporosis and, losing our muscle mass and all that, those are real. Whether we're on a GLP-1 or not, I think every woman in their 30s should be strength training. Anyone older than that as well. Like it's never too late to start implementing those things. And that's, I always put the disclaimer of like, there are modifications for nearly every exercise. People will see me lifting super heavy deadlifts and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, and this,
You.
I'm like, and
Oh my
this is
goodness.
what I can do this now, but like I could also hurt my back, or I could break my ankle, which I've done those things before, or get really really
Right.
sick and can't. There's gonna be
Mhm.
like ebbs and flows to that. But I'm like, you don't
Yeah.
have to do that, but you can do something. And I always say
Mhm.
something is always better than nothing. And that's like for a lot of different things, not just
Yes.
strength training. And there's one
Mhm.
Instagram that I love, and his name's Coach John Noel, Noel. He does a lot of great, he's not a Weight Watchers person or anything like that, but he does a lot of great videos about like workouts, like, and then the modifications to those workouts. Like, if you can't do this,
Oh.
then do this. And if you can't do that, then do this. And he makes it like very, very, very doable. So I'm always like pointing people in his direction because I love his videos. He also has a series like This Isn't Cooking, it's just mixing things up, where he like makes really easy meals that could easily fit into a calorie deficit and take him like 7 minutes to make. And so I just love his account. And I fangirled so hard because he has like 1 million followers. He just hit 1 million followers, and he followed me a few months ago. And I was like, "Ah," because I
So
like made a
cool.
video about something that I learned from him. Um, but anyway, all
Wow.
that to say, like, I think people think of strength training and they think I need to be like moving the barbell and going very heavy, and like I can't do that because I have this injury or that, and I struggle with this. And there's really something for everyone, and it's just about finding the right resources or finding the right coach. And um, there's a ton of free resources on YouTube. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
You kind of have to sift through and find the right things, but I think it's important, and it's for everyone. Strength training is for everyone, and I love CrossFit. I think CrossFit is for everyone. There are people in my gym who are 70 years old doing the same workouts that I'm doing, sometimes like kicking my butt. Um, and there are like women
Yeah.
of all stages and ages that will join that gym, and the coaches are very knowledgeable to teach you like, okay, we're going to start here, and then this will be the progression over time. And I just think it's really important.
I mean, you are a beast in the gym. Your videos, holy moly. I'm like, how is she
Well,
doing this?
and that's what's like so funny, I'm always like last place in like in class, or
Oh my
like like like
God.
and
Isn't that hard
so
to believe?
that's why, I try not to beat myself up, because I'm like, there's someone out there who wishes they were in the position that I'm in, or former Maggie, 290-pound Maggie would never be jumping up on an 18-inch box
Oh
or
my God.
swinging from the bar or doing all these things. Like, and
Yeah.
so that's why it's like you just got to celebrate the
I,
season you're in, because there's someone
yeah.
out there that wants to be where you are, or you even would have wanted to be where you are. Well, and
I sit there and go, my Lord, how's she doing
and the thing
this?
is like you
I couldn't
probably
do it.
could. Like
Oh my
I
God.
one of my favorite,
Amazing.
again, another mantra: if you think you can, you will. It's like, if I think I will
Yeah.
inevitably do this, like I will. It's just, we have to accept that some
Yeah.
things are going to take a lot of time and consistency. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, my aged knees. I don't
Girl, you don't need your
I was
knees
like,
to swing from the bar.
well, I'm so impressed. I mean, every time you have a real there or story, I'm like, my goodness, this woman, she's just you could do anything. And it's so inspiring because it does give us courage. Like when you were, and we're going to get into that, the world major
Mhm.
training and your New York City Marathon. I was training for my first dopey, watching you train for your first New York City Marathon, and I was just like in awe of just how hard you train and how you kick butt. I mean, it's incredible. And the grit you had and the ups and downs that you covered in your training was so
Mhm.
honest. And the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. There's so many people out there. There's just going to cover that one sliver of it's perfect, everything's wonderful. And you just covered the whole
Yeah.
gamut. What I want to talk about next is Run Disney and Maggie, the charity runner and the world major marathon
Woo!
finisher. Before we wrap up, we wanted to let you in on something a little different this week. Our conversation with Maggie was so inspiring, so honest, we decided there was no way we could fit it in all one episode. So we're turning this into a special 2-part episode. Normally, we release new episodes every other week, but for this one, we didn't want you to have to wait 2 full weeks for the rest of Maggie's incredible story. So part 2 is coming next week, and trust us, you don't want to miss it. As you heard, next week, we're diving into Maggie's Run Disney journey, what it meant to run for charity, and the road to becoming a world major marathon finisher at the New York City Marathon through her weight loss journey. As a little sneak peek, New York City was not just another race weekend. It became one of those once-in-a-lifetime moments where the marathon, the dream, and a very special surprise all came together in the most unforgettable way. So make sure you come back next Monday for part 2 of our conversation with Maggie. We'd love to connect with you between episodes over on Instagram at Wired to Run Pod and on Facebook at Wired to Run Podcasts. Be sure to check out our Spotify community playlist, Wired to Run Podcasts, Songs That Run Us playlist, and add the songs that run you. Thank you for listening, and as always, let's lace up, lock in, and let's go the distance. As you all know, we are just here sharing our experiences as ADHD runners. Don't take anything here as medical or mental health advice. Always seek out advice from your own medical and mental health professionals.